I am beginning the crash sequence. Oh boy, this is gonna get really destructive really fast, and there we go. Oh my gosh. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we are back in Stormworks and we're going to be doing another video involving investigating plane crashes. Now, if you haven't seen the first video, check that out in the top right corner. But today we're going to be crashing a plane and trying to see how it crashed. So yeah guys, let's get into the video. Now, we've got a brand new destructible plane today. If you want to download this, a link will be in the description. Now, this is a custom paint, so it does come in a regular white, but you can paint the plane yourself, and yeah, give it your own sort of livery. So, we are back with Airlines, and I think I will be going first. So, unless you want to join me on board, I would recommend hopping off, because this plane is going to crash. There we go, closing the doors.
What's their plan here?
So now that I've taken off, I'm gonna go fly out to somewhere where they can't see me and then crash the plane, and then of course they're gonna investigate it and try to guess what happened. Alright, I think I've got an area of where I want to crash at. So yeah, I guess we'll make this happen. I am beginning the crash sequence. Oh boy, this is gonna get really destructive really fast, and there we go. Oh my gosh. Alright folks, the plane has crashed. So obviously you guys just saw the plane crash, they did not, and you as the audience know how it went down, so we'll see what they think happened. Welcome back.
Audience, please tell me what happened.
Please tell us right now, so we know.
Leave an answer down in the comments what you think happened. I think you were flying too low and you kind of impacted the trees. That's how you crashed.
Well,
okay,
that's certainly part of it.
No, I think what happened is he came low and tried to pitch up last second, so that caused no, wait, that wouldn't make sense then, because the tail's all the way over there. The tail would have impacted first if you try to pitch up and landed first, and then but it wouldn't fly forward, right? Or
I'm thinking that maybe sort of like what you said, where kind of coming down and pitched up last second, but it still kind of stalled. So it kind of slammed the back into the ground maybe, and then the front just pitched down and slammed into the ground next.
I was thinking originally, but I just, how does the tail make sense though in its positioning, right?
I mean, it probably could have rolled or launched over there, I don't know.
If you do want a clue, I think we did this in the last video, but if you do need one, I can give you one clue.
What do you think, guys? Should we take the clue or no?
Sure.
So, if you remember from the last video, at least I think it was with Ben's crash, we had to triangulate each corner of the airplane. So try doing that.
Okay.
So I'm in the cockpit right now. I'm looking at all the gauges. When the gauge was first damaged, it was at 774 feet, or the altimeter, I should say. Airspeed indicator was at 207 knots.
Oh, so it's probably close to all then.
The laser altitude was 244 feet. Vertical speed was 86.6 feet down per second.
It does say that the throttle is still at 100 for both of the engines too. I think the best way to find out is we need to find the not the tail but the rudder. Okay, yeah, okay. I found the rudder over here. It's undamaged. Like it has no damage on it.
Really interesting if you think about it. So I don't think it's inverted then if the rudder is undamaged.
One interesting thing I'm looking at. So the left engine, the forward portion is totally damaged, but on the right engine, it's just a little bit of the back portion.
So it must have taken a hit at the left side. Maybe it was on an angle where the left side was hit the ground first.
I'm wondering if it was like spinning or something like that. Not like spinning, but maybe like came in sideways.
Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys ready to make your predictions, or what's going on?
I think so.
Alright, so collectively, what do you think happened?
Well, I think the general basis...
crashed.
Oh, yeah, clearly. I think all of us can agree on the fact that it came in very low just before a stall and pitched up. But I think we all have different ideas on how the plane impacts the ground.
Yeah, maybe something like that, but it came in like a little bit of a spin and kind of like hit sideways or something.
Yeah. I think it was a bit tilted to the left and then hit first and hit like that.
Okay, so Tofu was the closest to what happened, except it did not go into a stall. So Jlkillen mentioned something very interesting, and that was The left engine was damaged, but the right one was relatively okay. Now, the reason why that is the plane was at an angle. However, it wasn't spinning, it was just tilted to the left at a nosedive, sort of. And when it hit the ground, that left engine hit first, and the fuselage spun a little bit, and it resulted in, well, that right engine not being super damaged. But the plane did disintegrate. So yeah, really interesting theories with the plane crash there, but you guys were definitely hitting the nail on the head with the plane actually damaging the left engine first, and then the right engine being undamaged. That was definitely a pretty important clue there. Alright, so let's go ahead and let's have someone else crash, and I guess, Tofu, if you want to crash the plane, the stage is yours.
Alright.
Alright, so here we are at the airport, and it looks like Tofu is about to take off. So, here we go. He's gaining a lot of speed, and there he goes. Alright, good luck, Tofu.
Yep.
Now, time to return to the hangar. Table versus door. Wow, that is very interesting. Oh.
I didn't even see any table there.
Yeah, for me, the table was there, and then it just got pulled through the door.
I've been flying around with it.
I've just crashed, and everything is in pieces.
Well then, sounds like a job for us. Let's go investigate.
Okay, so the wing is resting on the cockpit.
So this is really interesting because there's damage all the way over here. We just need to figure out how this debris got here. But I'm pretty confident I know how that debris got there because that's a large portion of the plane, including the cockpit. Any thoughts?
Nope, I got nothing.
Yeah, this one's a little bit difficult.
Some interesting things. So the engine 1 and 2 throttle, they're both at 44.5.
Oh, that's really interesting. Usually you would imagine it would be at full power.
Yeah, so maybe it ended up stalling or something. Like it kind of just went above and just kind of slammed into the cliffside, and half of it fell into the ravine onto the tracks, and then the other half just stayed on top of the cliff.
Are you saying something like a flat spin, or not a flat spin, but just a stall where it's like a belly flop almost?
Possibly. It depends on when the plane would stall in terms of like the throttle, like what throttle it's at and what would cause it to stall, basically. So for the altitude with the laser, it's at 660. Airspeed is 144.5 knots. Then the altitude is almost 560. So it was at a decent height, but not like super high, like when it impacted.
I'm right now looking at the part of the aircraft right on the top of the mountain, or cliffside I should say, and I'm noticing some substantial damage to the tail, and that would be the underside of the tail. But what's also really interesting, and this would sort of lead towards your theory, Jlkillen, that there was a stall of some kind. The tail is actually somewhat intact. It's kind of broken apart, but all of the pieces are in one general area.
There was 100% a stall because the airspeed is at 100 knots.
Oh wow,
And
okay.
Most planes of this size can't fly at that speed.
I think like my general consensus is, like I said, with the possible stall, it kind of slammed into the ground up here. Maybe some stuff just got left behind, like the back end, like the tail and that section, and then the rest just kind of like just got launched and catapulted over the edge into the canyon.
Okay, you guys ready for the big reveal?
Yes.
So yeah, Jlkillen was pretty much correct. I kind of came in from over here and tried to correct the stall, but I shut the engines off just to force a stall, because, you know, it'd be kind of fun to have a stall crash. And I kind of did a little flip and landed in between the drop and this mountain here, which is why you see all the parts kind of like scattered on either side.
Well, and that explains a lot, so it makes a lot more sense now why the pieces are where they are in the aftermath. So, yeah, let's move on to the next person. So, Jlkillen, if you'd like to be the next one to crash the plane, why don't you go ahead and get ready, and we'll head back over to the airport and wait for you to crash.
All right.
And Jlkillen is off the ground, and he is gone. All right.
Yeah, I got a good idea.
Interesting. Can you see him from here? Or?
I saw a
yeah,
glimpse. I don't want to. I want to look away so I don't
I
surprise.
crashed.
Oh, I did not see him at all, but
I'm still landing.
oh, well, Tofu just felt the experience of that. He lagged for a minute. But
Yep.
yeah, let's go hop over there and check it out. Well then, I'm glad I showed up when I saw some of the damage fall down, or some of the pieces fall down. Wow.
We have a big problem on our hands.
Yeah, this one may be very confusing to figure out. I don't want to say this is a stall because of the amount of damage, but
No,
yeah.
I think it was at full speed. I think, just by judging where all the damage is at, I think he hit the top of that mountain at full speed and all that debris just tumbled down right to the bottom over here.
So I'm beginning to think like the fuel tank gauges, or well, just the total fuel gauges that both the pilot and co-pilot have, they're both at 0. Whereas in the past, or like in the last 2 crashes, they've had some value. That tells me he must have somehow probably flew at an angle where it would rip both of his wings off.
So
You know, yeah, that is a very good point, Ben, because if those wings ripped off, tore out those fuel tanks, it would tear out the connection, rendering that, you know, gauge to say 0. So that is a very good point.
So take a look at this, guys. The landing gear is kind of out here and on the ground. Do you think they're trying to make a landing, perhaps, for some reason on this mountain range?
No, they weren't. This one is just down because of physics.
Physics, okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the gear was
that
out.
one Jesse crashed is.
Oh, right.
Because the hydraulics have no hydraulic pressure, so they just kind of swing loosely.
I think we're all in agreement, though, that we had a high-speed crash, right?
Yes, I mean, look at the way that the debris is spread out. From the larger debris back there to some of the smaller debris over here. I kind of want to say the plane came in possibly level and flew through the canyon and slowly disintegrated as it got further into the canyon.
I kind of disagree with your statement. I think it hit the top of the mountain peak and everything kind of just came crashing down.
I'm thinking that's what happened.
See, that's what I originally thought, but I mean, the spread of debris down across this, you know, canyon floor where the train tracks are seems to indicate to me that it was actually flying in that direction. So, you know, you could be right. I'm not sure. I mean, I wasn't there for it, but, yeah.
Well, the thing is,
I think it's just the angle.
If he would have flown through the canyon, he would have been gone a lot longer, or way before. Because we're far enough in that if he flew at the level where the debris is in the canyon, he would not be able to fly in the canyon for that long, and his wings make it all the way over here if that happened.
All right, so before that, I don't know if you ever like noticed, but the tail section and the rudder is on that kind of mountainside above the ravine. But yeah, it's basically like a mix of all that. I didn't hit this mountain peak, like if you come up directly, like where I'm at, I kind of hit it at a glancing blow. I was intending to hit like my wing on it and maybe like roll and do some sort of confusing crash, but I like kind of slammed into it pretty hard. So I think if I remember correctly, I slammed mostly into this right side of the mountain peak, and it just kind of exploded and just slung everything everywhere.
So yeah, that debris up there really does point out then that that is what happened. I mean, that's where you crashed and all that debris just sort of got flung out and landed down the mountain. So yeah, very confusing crash. And that leads us to Ben. Are you ready to go crash your plane?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Let's go ahead and let's respawn. All right, so here we are back at the airport, and I'm going to sabotage Ben.
No, you are not allowed to do that.
We are going to put foreign objects on the runway. Oh my gosh, I better move. Quick, sling!
Wow, you could not have been more horrible at that.
All right, looking on the live map right now, we can see... I think he just crashed.
Yes,
There
I
was
did.
a very large lag spike, and he stopped moving forward very quickly, so I'm pretty sure that was the end of Ben. All right, so we're somewhere in the forest. I do see some debris. I see an emergency exit here.
This is kind of interesting. The nose is just dug into the ground and pointed straight up for me.
Okay, so this might be the most interesting wreckage we have ever come upon. I think I have a suspicion on how this crashed.
I think we can all pretty much agree that it came nose first.
So some interesting stuff with the cockpit. So both of the engine throttles are at max. Airspeed is 228 knots. The altitude is 221 feet or meters or something, I assume. I'm not sure what unit it's in. But the laser altitude says 13,000. I'm not sure why.
Okay, so one really interesting piece of information. The tail is right next to the cockpit. So what we know about crashes where the tail is right next to the cockpit is either, one, the tail sort of cartwheeled over there, if it was crashing sort of level, or it was nosing down into the ground, and all of the debris flattened out in one location. Now, we don't see that completely here because, well, that debris over there, that center portion of the plane, probably slid down the mountain a little bit, and it looks to have been caught up on some trees. You can see one there. I'm gonna have to say, the plane did nose straight into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to mention that too with like the rudder, since obviously that's attached to the tail. But I'm thinking that just from the sheer just force of the nose impact, it just launched downwards and just slammed into the ground, like right up here. And then everything else just kind of like blew outward, and maybe most of it just ended up sliding down the hill and stuff.
So initially, it started with me putting my gear down as I was going to try and land at O'Neill. And
yeah, I was about to mention that the landing gear switch was throttled to off, so it was deployed.
Yeah, I lowered my landing gear and my flaps, and for some strange reason, the left main landing gear decided to collide with something. And then I started having some control problems, and I was kind of circling around the mountains over there on the other side of the forest. And at one point I got low enough that I had a wing strike on one mountain on my left wing. Somehow it didn't rip the wing off, because I was able to control it quite well. And then I stalled briefly, I believe. And I got it back into the air, and then I just basically nosed straight down, because I just couldn't keep the airspeed or something like that. I can't remember exactly.
Well then, I think that's going to be a video there. That was really fun. We all got to have a crash, investigate 3 others, because again, we all had our own crash. And yeah, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you all next time, guys. Goodbye.